a trap, and a stumbling block. Okay, those of us that read our scriptures, we should that should be very familiar. Okay, let's go ahead and let's look in Romans 11. Romans 11 and 9. Romans 11 and 9. And it reads, and David saith, let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. May the table be a snare, a trap, a stumbling block, and a recompense unto them. All right. And we're going to turn in 69, Psalm 69 and 22. So we're going to look at where Shaul got that from. And we're going to talk about that briefly before we get rolling. Psalm 69 and 22. Let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. So Yah is setting traps. Yah going hunting. He's setting traps. And, you know, I got a picture up here of an eagle got caught in a trap. You know, now, if y'all got a trap set for a bear, don't you be acting like a bear. It's real simple. If y'all got a trap set for a cougar, or for, we in West Tennessee, for a bobcat, don't you be acting like a bobcat. Because a sheep shouldn't get stuck in a bear trap. You understand what I'm saying? The trap is set for a bear. Don't be acting like a bear. The trap is set for a bobcat. Don't be acting like a bobcat. Be a sheep. Be part of the flock. So Yah said, so David said, look, let their table become a snare. What you do at the table? You eat. You get your full. You eat. So the lust of men, the desires, the lust, Yah's going to turn that to a trap. People that want power and money, resources, all these different things, y'all going to turn it to a trap. That's what David said. He said it should have been for their welfare. Let it become a trap to them. So if he's setting traps for bobcats and bears and wild beasts, don't you be a wild beast. Be a sheep. Be part of the flock. Let's turn to Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. Okay. Last week we talked about as the world turns. We talked about the what? What was in the great whore's hand? The golden cup. All right? The golden cup. The week before that, we talked about it in part 2, we talked about the walls what?
Falling down.
Walls got to fall down, but will we hear the sirens? Yeah. Will we hear the warning before they fall down? And first, how all this started, we talked about what? Entering into not being complacent. Because while you sleeping, they working. While they're sleeping, while we sleeping, while we fiddle faddling around, while we worried about drama and he saying, she saying, and beefs on the internet, and who doing this and who's sleeping with who and who lied on this, all this other stuff, they working full speed ahead. And Yah's allowing them to work because he set a trap for them. But then don't you get caught in a trap. Because he set a trap for a bear, and then you acting like a bear. So you're going to fall to the bear trap. And you won't believe this. Mr. Yahuwah ain't going to have no mercy. I'm a sheep. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Jeremiah 51. We covered 50 last time. So we're going to start in 51. Jeremiah 51. Okay. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind, and will send into Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and they shall empty her land. From the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in the and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God. And of the Lord of hosts through their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon. Flee out of the midst of Babylon. How many times was that not mentioned in Jeremiah 50 also? Did we not realize right last time that in Jeremiah 50 that some of it is referring to the assault that will come on the land of Chaldea, of the Babylon, but some of this is referencing to a later time. We do remember that, correct? And that in that latter time, we have the privilege of living in. You have to earn your way in this. This ain't no participation award. This ain't no, well, that Varner boy, he came about 50% of his classes. Give him his GED. That's not what it's going to be. You have to earn your stripes. And how we live, how we walk, how we talk, the Shema, the V'ahavta, was passed down to the children. So if it don't happen in my day, and it happened in their day, they ready. And if it don't happen in their day, they must take the Shema and the V'ahavta and pass it down to their children. And as we covered when we looked at Assyria and Tobit and Tobias, that when the son was getting ready to pass, he an old man now, and he got kids and grandkids, and before he take his last breath, Nineveh has fallen. We went through all them kings, all that time, from Jonah all the way down to when Nineveh fell, through all them kings. So the word will not fall short. Will we fall short? That's what it always boils down to. Ain't got nothing to do with y'all. It's got to do with the person in the mirror. Will we fall short? So flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. The trap set for Babylon. So don't act like a Babylonian. You understand what I'm saying? I know what they tell you. Hey, when in Rome, do as the Romans. Oh, I'm sorry. When you go to Vegas, stay in Vegas. Huh? Is that not what they say? So he said, flee out of the midst of Babylon, deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yah's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yah's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Chaos. Right? We're in a time of chaos. And it's got to get worse. So in other words, Yah is going to... I used to have to take medicine when I was a kid. Now some of that stuff, that castor oil and stuff, some of y'all know castor oil is. You won't try foot no castor oil.
Don't do it.
You have to fight me, hold me down, and you do what? Pinch your nose and hold somebody's head back and pour it down the mouth. So that's what Yah is going to do to the nations. He's going to pinch their nose, hold their head back, and make them drink of this cup. You got to drink all of it. So the nations got to be drunk or mad or delirious. This is a trap. He said, let their table become a snare. It was supposed to be for their welfare. It's the work of Yah. Babylon's been a golden cup in the Lord's hand and has made all the earth drunken, and nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. They are mad. They're gone crazy. Okay, the golden cup. So this cup, if you visualize the cup in the great whore's hand, it's got to be filled to the top, where it's to the top, to where you got a cup or something, and it's up to the brim. So you move a certain way and something coming out. Okay, remember Eddie Murphy and the Golden Child. Hey, Eddie, you want this knife? You gotta have this cup of water, don't spill one drop, right? Eddie, he going through all different stuff to get the knife. I must get the knife. Right? He would walk through, but he cannot. So not one drip of this cup will spill. This cup must be filled. It's got to reach up to the Shamayim to heaven, and the nation's got to be full of this drink. But this is his plan. It's his plan. All right. So the Babylonian system, the Babylonian system, it's got to reach its height. Okay, it must reach its height. Okay, Revelation 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So we're told in Revelation 18:3, okay, that this Babylon is a stronghold. It's a source. All right, it's an entity. It's very powerful. It's throughout all the earth. It's like a crime syndicate. You're watching most Scarface movies. You got all the mob families. Deep. The mob family know. Okay, we gonna handle all the liquor. We gonna handle all the dope. We'll handle all the prostitution. But it's a crime syndicate. But there are different aspects of this organization. And there are some factions, hey, we might work together. Some of us, we don't get along, but hey, we all making money. So we have to picture Babylon as a criminal syndicate that's global. Because people kings and merchants. So so Revelation 18:4-5, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. There we go again. That ye be not be partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. Not of her plagues. You just told there in Jeremiah 51:1-7. He just said it. He done said it and said it again. For her sins have reached unto Shamayim, and God has remembered her iniquities. It said kings of the earth is what it said, right? So we fast forward to our time. We got presidents, right? We got chancellors. I think maybe UK still has kings and queens, but for most part, people got presidents and chancellors. So the kings of the earth, just think your government and every aspect of government. Every aspect of government. Your judicial, your law, every aspect. So the kings of the earth, we can kind of sum that up to the governments of our time. Because this is for the latter days. So the governments are wrapped hip deep into this Babylonian system. Man, they getting paid. They getting paid. Okay. What was the other one? They said what? Merchants? Who got some money in here? Aaron, you got some cash? Pull that cash out, brother. Aaron, my money man. Aaron, that money man. That's perfect. Exactly what I need. Come here. Come on.
Oh man.
Last dollar. Now what we said the other day about the in God we trust, right? What God are they talking about? They're talking about Genesis 1:1. Okay. Merchants of the earth is what we were told. Federal Reserve Bank. Oh wow, look, it's right there. Federal Reserve note. Oh. It's in your pocket. And if you don't keep cash, that's on your card that you just got a chip put on, right? Because at one point your debit card didn't have a chip on it, and they made you get another card because people are stealing your identity. And it's gonna keep your money safe, keep your person safe. But everybody's weaved into this crime syndicate of Babylon. You know, everybody know where that bull's at? Where's that at?
Yeah,
Wall Street. The merchants of the earth You know what's crazy about the Federal Reserve banks? They're like all over the world. There are Federal Reserve banks all over. And they're their own private entity. They have nothing to do. So I don't care what Trump say. I don't care what Obama say. I don't care what Lil Bush say. I don't care what his daddy say. I don't care what Clinton say. Y'all ain't had nothing to do with our economy. They did. That's who control your money. You know they control our money so much they put their name on it. That's like what artists do when artists paint something and they put their name on it. I'll put my signature on there. So the merchants of the earth, the bankers, Wall Street, getting rich, money is right there in your scriptures. You want to know who we have the most? All them countries that we have a lot of beef with, they don't have a Federal Reserve. Check it out for yourself. Check it out for yourself. They don't have a Federal Reserve. They're not a part of that system. Check it out for yourself. I need Josh here. Google facts. Google it up. Look it up. Let's show exactly what it is. Spider web. Babylon. All kind of junks all up in this spider web. But there's a spider somewhere. There's a spider somewhere. Anybody ever do like a pyramid thing before? Like selling something? You know, like you get somebody in and, you know, and the thing is you try to get a bunch of people under you to do work for you. The more people you sign up that's under you. Now, you got to get in the game. You got to pay your entry and you got to sell what you got to sell. But if you can get people under you, they working for you. So you got all the people down here at the base of the pyramid, they do the most labor. And as you move up the ladder, there's more money, there's more power up here, but there's less people. That's the way that the system is set up. That's the depthness of Babylon. That's why when the prophets see it, it's hard to explain. It's hard to elaborate. I've never seen nothing like this before, where you're walking around with Babylon in your pocket. And we can go back to the slide. We're walking around with these things that are a part of us. They hadn't seen it like this before. So if we think about it, at the top of the pyramid is pretty blunt, it's satanic. Luciferian worship, Molech, deities from your Bible, Ashtaroth, Baal, equaling to Nimrod. Because Nimrod is described as what? The great and mighty hunter. Under Nimrod's leadership, did they attempt to make war with the Shemaim. Nobody else. No other king that we know of that was that bold. We're going to go make war with Yah, except one. So things that happened aforetime was written for our what? Learning. So we got to know that at the end, there must be a Nimrod somewhere. There must be a Nimrod somewhere. Because for everything's written aforetime is written for our learning. And it's through the comfort and the patience of the scriptures that we might have some hope. Amen. So we look at our government, right? Government with the kings wrapped up in it, right? Government, economics, politics, education, religion. There's supposed to be a separation of what? Church and... They sure are hand in hand. They sure are hand in hand. 501c3, right? You better hire that flaming sweet boy to be your choir director. You better hire her.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what color her hair is, and I don't care how long she been a lesbian. You better hire her. Be your secretary. Or else.
Yep.
But the spider web, the syndicate, the prophets never seen a machine like this before. Crime, lawlessness, drugs, dope, natural resources, human trafficking, and go on and on. Lawlessness, the base of it. But to make a long story short, at the top, these folks is worshiping ugly. Long story short. And it don't matter what we think, is what they do. They believe. They believe. How many minutes been on there? 20? Thank you. Let me know I get 25. The system will self-destruct. Okay, let's look at Revelation 17 real quick. The system will self-destruct. Because y'all set a trap. We can't be caught up in the trap. Okay? We cannot be caught up in the trap. That's supposed to be 17 and look at 17 and 5. My bad, 17 and 5. So once again, when we look at this, it says Revelation 17 and 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Mystery, 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 mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. So she got a lot of little bad little girls running around. She got a whole bunch of them. And the abominations of the earth. Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon. Now this system will self-destruct if we look at Revelation 17 and 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples, and multitudes and nations and tongues. The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. They shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Now who's going to do this? The beast. Yeah. And the beast is where these 10 horns are. And these 10 horns represented 10 what? Kingdoms. So there's going to be some double crossing. There's going to be some 007. When anytime you watch some of them James Bond movies, every time James Bond hook up with a chick, you don't know if she's going to help James or try to get James set up until you get to the end. Wink, wink. So now we have this great whore that is described is going to be set up, used to kind of help get it going a certain way. And right as missions accomplished, I don't need you, I'm going to treat you exactly what you are. Can't bring no whores home. Huh? Cannot bring them home. So you served your purpose. And look at verse 17. For Yah had put it in their hearts to fulfill what? His will. Once again, he said, I'm laying a trap. I'm going hunting. I'm going to hunt me some beasts. I'm going to hunt me some rebellious leaders. I'm going hunting. So he's going to put it in their mind to do his work for them. But it's been written aforetime. We've seen Yah do this. We've seen him take other nations to do a job for him. For he has put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, singular, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay, so we do believe that there is a specific spot. But before we get to the specific spot, we've got to understand this system and how everything is tied into it. Okay. So we're going to go some places we ain't been. All right, the words given to Ezra or Esdras. Okay. And I want you guys on your own. We're gonna validate a righteous man today. Won't be a lot in this today. How many minutes I'm at, brother? Man, 25 yet?
Almost.
Thank you.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Now Ezra,
30 seconds.
Okay. Ezra 7, 1 through 6, and Nehemiah 8, 1 through 18 is in what is called your canon. Okay, that's in your text that you have. Now, those that have apocryphas or sephares or Ethiopic Bible, Catholic Bible, all right. I will on your own time, I want you to compare Ezra 7, 1 through 6 to 1 Ezra 8, 1 through 7. I want you to compare and contrast for yourself. I want you to compare and contrast Nehemiah 8th chapter, 1 through 18, to 1 Ezra 9, 38 through 55. Okay, I want you to do that. That's your homework. We got so much to go through, and we just, y'all, everybody can do that. So I want you to do that. Ezra 7, 1 through 6, with 1 Ezra 8, 1 through 7, then Nehemiah 8, 1 through 18, to 1 Ezra 9, 38 through 55. Okay. All right. Keys within 2nd Ezra. There are keys within. We're going to do a little investigating today. So get your shovels, your magnifying glasses, thinking caps. Okay. Drink your coffee. We're going to do a little investigating today. 2nd Ezra, we're going to start in the 8th chapter. This is the 15th verse. Now therefore, Lord, I will speak touching man in general. Thou knowest best, but touching thy people, for whose sake I am sorry. So we have Ezra, who is making a petition for Israel. Okay? All right, we know Ezra is one that went back and established a lot of good things once they were allowed to rebuild and reestablish Jerusalem. Okay? Verse 16, and for thine inheritance, for whose cause I mourn, and for Israel, for whom I am heavy, and for Jacob. Now, some of this is the 1611 King James, so, it's not my spelling. It ain't me. Okay? And for Jacob, for whose sake I am troubled. Therefore will I begin to pray before thee for myself and for them, for I see the falls of us that dwell in the land. But I have heard the swiftness of the judge which is to come. Therefore hear my voice and understand my words, and I shall speak before thee. This is the beginning of the words of Ezra. So this is part of his prayer. Okay? Before he was taken up, and I said, O Lord, thou that dwellest in everlasting, which beholdest from above things in the heaven and in the air, whose throne is inestimable, whose glory may not be comprehended, before whom the host of angels stand with trembling, whose service is conservant in wind and fire, whose word is true and saying constant, whose commandment is strong and ordinance fearful, whose look drieth up the depths, and indignation maketh the mountains to melt away, which the truth witness. O hear the prayer of the servant, and give ear to the petition of thy creature. For while I live, I will speak, and so long as I have understanding, I will answer. Change my angle. All right, now in verse 26. O look not upon the sins of thy people, but on them which serve thee in truth. Regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies in affliction. Stop right there. Now, before Ezra got to go back, he was in what?
Custody.
Captivity. So what is something that we got to know, regardless of where you are, what your status is, that you must keep the testimonies, especially in afflictions. 28, think not upon those that have walked vainly before thee, but remember them which according to thy will have known thy fear. Let it not be thy will to destroy them which have lived like beasts. Because if you live like a beast, you're going to get caught up in a beast trap. Remember Romans 11 and 9. Remember what David said, make their table a snare. So he says, hey, we ain't really talking about those that just bucking off the chain, but to look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Look upon them that have clearly taught thy law. Take thou no indignation at them which are deemed worse than beasts. So when you teach the law or you're about the ways of Yah, the world will see you as less than the junk on your shoe. But love them that always put their trust in thy righteousness and glory. For we and our fathers do languish of such diseases, but because of sinners, thou shalt be called merciful. For if thou hast desired to have mercy upon us, thou shalt be called merciful to us, namely, that have no works of righteousness. For the just which have many good works laid up with thee shall out of their own deeds receive reward. For what is man that thou shouldest take displeasure at him? Or what is the corruptible generation that thou shouldest be so bitter toward it? For in truth there is no man among them that be born, but he that dealt wickedly. And among the faithful there is none which hath done none amiss. Verse 36, for in this, O Lord, thy righteousness and thy goodness shall be declared. If thou be merciful unto them which have not the confidence of good works, then answered he me. So now we get a response. Then answered he me and said, some things hast thou spoken aright, and according unto thy words it shall be. For indeed I will not think on the disposition of them that have sinned before death, before judgment, but before destruction. But I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous. I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous. So his eyes are on us no matter where we are. No matter what's going on. I don't care if you're in Babylon, Assyria. I don't care if you're in West Africa. I don't care if you're in Arabia. I don't care if you're in America. I don't care if you're in the Bahamas. I don't care if you're in South America. And I don't care where your behind is at. You got a standard to hold. Period. You ain't got no excuse. And these other nations, that's a little different. I'll deal with them accordingly. But you, your descendants, your offspring, no excuse. We come up with all kinds of excuses though, don't we? We make up stuff. Freestyle excuses. But I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous, and I will remember also their pilgrimage. I will also remember their pilgrimage. So no matter how far you go. But he said that in the Torah, didn't he? He said, if you're under the farthest parts of the heaven, I'm going to come and get you. Don't worry about it. I will remember also their pilgrimage and the salvation and the reward that they shall have. Like as I've spoken now, so it shall come to pass. Like with Jonah and how Tobias, and he told his son Tobit and all those kings, all those different things that had to go on in the Syrian government before, boom, the walls fell. Because his word shall come to pass. For as the husbandman soweth much seed upon the ground and planteth many trees, and yet the thing that is sown good in his season cometh not up. Neither doth all that is planted take root. Even so, haven't you heard someone talking about husbandmen and seeds and things being planted? Does it not take you back to Mashiach and the parable of the sower and my father is the vine and John? So I wonder if Yeshua had that in mind when he was saying that. I mean, hey man, look, don't pay me no attention. Don't pay me no attention. Neither doth all that is planted take root, even so it is of them that are sown in the world, they shall not be saved. 42, I answered then and said, if I have found grace, let me speak.
How many times have we heard that? If I have found favor in thy eyes.
So there's a certain way you got to talk to them.
That's right.
Like as the husbandman's seed perish if it come not up and receive not the rain in due season, or if there come too much rain and corrupt it, even so perish man also which is formed with thy hands, and is called thine own image, because thou art like unto him, for whose sake thou hast made all things, and likened him unto the husband's seed. Be not wroth with us, but spare thy people, and have mercy upon thine own inheritance. For thou art merciful unto thy creature. Then answered he me and said, things present are for the present, and things to come for such as be to come. 2 Ezra 8:47. For thou comest far short, that thou shouldest be able to love my creature more than I. Who Ezra's praying for? What he said, I'm going to pray for myself and I'm going to pray for my people Israel. Right? He's in a transition position. Right? Before, that's, smooth. He's in a transition position. Transition position.
Okay.
Transition position. Okay. So before he establishes what we know as them going back, right? Because this is the one that Artaxerxes says he's a ready scribe in the law of Moses. He says, you are short that you should be able to love my creature more than I. So you love Israel more than I do. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me, sir? We know y'all, look, we know y'all didn't talk with you now. He talked with Job. Said, man, stand up. So you love Israel more than I do. You got a better plan for them than me. So we're going to move Ezra's out the way and put ourselves in the way. Oh, you got a better plan than me. You got a better way than me. But I have oftentimes drawn nigh unto thee, and unto it, but never to the unrighteous. He said, man, I don't even fool with the unrighteous. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, and that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. Right? Didn't Yahshua talk about that? About the Pharisees and their long, long tassels. Right? Didn't Cephas talk about you need to be humbled by the mighty hand of the Most High, that you may be exalted at the due time. Okay? Verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them. Who is them? Israel. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in a world. And you won't believe why. He answered his own self. Because they have walked in great pride. When y'all talking about pride today? Y'all talking about pride today, what? So he said in the end time, your people that you sit up here crying to me about, it's still going to be full of pride. I mean, all you got to do is just go on to Google search, type up Hebrew Israelite, see what you get. Google facts, just type it up. For many great miseries shall be done to them, and that the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed. Perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you. Wickedness and moth is hidden from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Sorrows are past, and the end is showed, the treasure of immortality. We've heard that before, right? Doesn't Shaul talk about that in 1 Corinthians 15? That we're supposed to go from glory to glory, but from mortal to immortal.
Yes.
So this is well understood.
Yeah.
Ezra is a scribe ready in the law. Shaul is a teacher of the law. They had an understanding. You'll find actually when you go through Ezra's and some of these other books that they talk about the law and the resurrection more than anything else. So just let you know that the Sadducees were not of them. They were of something else. We'll say that for Hanukkah. Verse 55. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. He said, man, don't even bring them up to your mouth no more. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsake his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous.
Right.
58. And he said in their heart that there is no God. Is that not? That's right now. That's right now. Yea, and that knowing they must die, for if the things aforehead shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it was not his will that men should come to naught, but they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him that prepared life. Who got really? Somebody give me Romans 1 right quick. Real quick, Romans 1 and I think 25. Who got it? Romans 1:25. Go ahead, sir.
Because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie,
Uh-huh.
and worship and serve the creature rather than the creator.
They worship and serve who?
The creature.
More than the creator. So up here in verse 6, but they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. One more time.
Because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worship and serve the creature rather than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
So just put 2 Ezra 8 and 60, and then draw a line to Romans 1 and 25, and put some question marks by it. Verse 61, and therefore is my judgment now in hand. Verse 62, these things have I not showed unto all men, but unto thee and a few like thee. These things have I not shown unto all men, but unto thee and a few like you. Then answered I and said, behold, O Lord, now hast thou showed me the multitude of the wonders which thou wilt begin to do in the last times. But at what time hast thou not shown me? So he's like, okay, well, you showed me the end. When does this start? Does it not sound like the disciples with Yahshua?
Matthew
What
24.
are these things?
What, Matthew 24?
So that was 2nd Ezra, the 8th chapter, and we needed to get an idea of who this young man is, and that the things that he is getting, we're gonna cross it over to what we have in our canon, and we have to go back to Revelation and ask the question: okay, well, if one prophet get this part and another servant get this part, but nobody's talking about his part, then are we not off? Are we not off? Are we not off? So what he was been told to him, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Kick it out. Don't worry about it. So now I got all my hopes wrapped up into something that, and I got some keys, and I ain't used these keys. Quick review. If you have this, read this on y'all. 2nd Ezra, really read 9 and 10, but 2nd Ezra is 9:26 through 10:26. We're gonna pick up in 10:28, but pretty much he's, fasting and having dreams, and he has a dream about a woman, and that her son comes to the house, and the man just falls over and dies. He's dreaming, and make a long story short, there's a lot. He's crying and so on, but the woman turns into a building. Or turns into like I think woman turns to a building, and we're going to look at he gets an interpretation of this dream. Okay, so we're going to turn to 2nd Ezra 10, but this starts in really 9, about 9:26 of 2nd Ezra, and through about 10:26. We're going to pick up in 10:28 because it's just a lot. It's good, but it's just a lot, and we got to get somewhere. We got to get there on time. Amen. So 2nd Ezra 10 and 28. Where is Uriel the angel? So this is the angel that's been given him, kind of like how Gabriel went to Daniel. Okay. So Uriel's been given understanding to Ezra. Okay. Where is Uriel the angel who came unto me at first? For he hath caused me to fall into many trances, and my end is turned to corruption, and my prayer to rebuke. And as I was speaking these words, behold, he came unto me and looked upon me, and lo, I lay as one that had been dead. Who else said that? Oh, Ezekiel said that. Oh, Yochanan said that. Daniel said that. So when you really come across the highest, or those from his realm, you just drop. So he like, ain't no different than for me. I'm sitting there asking, and then he come and so I lay as one that had been dead, and my understanding was taken from me, and he took me by the right. He meant, stand up. Trying to stand us up. I lay one that's been dead, and my understanding was taken from me, and he took me up by the right hand and comforted me and set me on my feet. And said unto me, what aileth thee? Why art thou so disquieted, and why is thine understanding troubled? And the thoughts of thine heart. And I said, because thou hast forsaken me, and yet I did according to thy words. I went to the field, and lo, I have seen, and yet see, and I'm able to express. And he said to me, stand up like a man. When he told Job, man, stand up, speak straight. Stand up. Shout out to Pastor Silent, General Silent. And last week he said, stand up. Men, stand up. And I will advise thee. You got to go back and read it, because but I want you to understand that he's not just in Nehemiah and Ezra, just somebody that's really a book smart and law smart, that he was a righteous spiritual, a vessel that was used by Yah. This would make him such a great teacher. So it's not that he had understanding of this, but he had understanding from that side, from that realm. Okay. Verse 56, 10th chapter. And then shalt thou hear much as thine ears may comprehend, for thou art blessed above many others, and art called with the highest, and so are but few. But tomorrow at night thou shalt remain here, and so shall the highest show thee visions of the high things, which the Most High will do unto them that dwell upon the earth in the last days. So I slept that night, and another, like as he commanded me. And we ain't going to turn there, but we told what he say in Numbers, when he had an issue with Miriam and Aaron. Miriam and Aaron. What did he say? He said, man, let me tell you what I do. I come to people when they what? Sleep. So what they ask them to do? Go to sleep. We're going to come back and holler at you. We're going to come back and holler at you. Go to sleep. Rest up. All right, Ezra and Daniel. Okay, Ezra and Daniel. All right. Now we're going to get into what, like everybody else. Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea. What happened in Revelation again? What did Yochanan see? From the where?
From the sea.
He saw a beast come from the
sea.
A beast from the
sea.
A beast from the
sea.
And he said, I saw something come up from the
sea.
Eagle. But it came from the sea, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. The beasts that they were seeing had, some had 7 heads, different wings, and all kind of stuff. And 3 heads. And I saw, and behold, she spread her wings over all the earth. And all the winds of the air blew on her and were gathered together. And I beheld out of her feathers, there grew other contrary feathers. And they became little feathers and small. But her heads were at rest. The head in the midst was greater than the others, yet rested it with the residue. Moreover, I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon the earth, and over them that dwelt therein. And I saw all things under heaven was subject unto her. And no man unto who? Her, right? Okay. And no man spoke against her, no, not one creature upon earth. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose upon her. It says, talons, I think it's talking about its tassels, its claws, and spake to her feathers, saying, watch not all at once, sleep everyone in his own place, and watch by course, but let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose 1 feather, and reigned over all the earth. Now, if we remember in the vision that John had and in Daniel, that there would be a little horn. There'd be these horns, and there'd be this one little horn. And this one little horn got a lot of juice. So Ezra sees the same thing, but it's a feather. It's a feather, and it rains all over the earth. Singling out 1 feather, like there was 1 horn singling out. This is what John saw, or Yochanan and Daniel. Okay? And so it was that it rained, the end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more. Okay? So the next following stood up and reigned and had a great time. And it happened that when it rained, the end of it also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a voice unto it and said, hear thou that thou hast borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto thee before thou beginnest to appear no more. So this creature has been able to reign for a long time. And there's a voice speaking to it. Then the voice, verse 15, then came a voice into it, hear thou that thou hast borne rule over earth so long, that I say unto thee before thou beginnest to appear no more. So before your time is up, you ruled for a long time, before your time is up. Verse 17, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Then arose the third, and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. So went it with all the residue, one after another, as that every one reigned and then appeareth no more. Right, we had different beasts. Right, one rise, goes away, another one pops up. Then I beheld, and lo, in the process of time, the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads that rested, and 6 little wings. Then saw I also that 2 little feathers divided themselves from the 6, and remained under the head that was upon the right side, for the 4 continued in their place. Does that sound just not like you reading Revelation? Mm-hmm. Right? We talked about what the descriptive symbolism. Mm-hmm. Now we're gonna get the interpretation here in a minute, or they're gonna give us the interpretation. But I can only describe what I see the best I can. And it looked like an eagle with 3 heads. Verse 25. And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set up themselves and to have the rule. And I beheld, and lo, that there was one set up, but shortly appeared no more. The second was sooner away than the first. And I beheld, and lo, the 2 that remained thought also in themselves to reign. And when they so thought, behold, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest, namely, it was in the midst, for that was greater than the 2 other heads. And then I saw that the 2 other heads were joined with it. And behold, the head was turned with them that were it wit. And it did eat up the 2 feathers under the wing that would have reigned. But this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule over it, all those who dwelt upon the earth, with much oppression. And it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been. And after this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings, but there remained the 2 heads, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth and over those that dwelt therein. Verse 35. And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it, that was upon the left side. And I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion. And lo, as it were a roaring lion. A roaring lion. A roaring lion. Chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle. So now the lion is coming up out the woods, roaring, coming up to the eagle. Hear thou, I talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it that remains of the 4 beasts? How many beasts were in Revelation again? Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel.
4.
Hear thou, I talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it that remains of the 4 beasts, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them? Verse 40. And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness. Sounds kind of familiar, don't it?
Does it not?
Because that in Daniel, that 4th one, it was just, I can't even explain it. It was not like the ones prior to it. Diverse, yes, sir.
Man.
And had power over the world with great fearfulness, over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. For the earth has not been judged with truth. For the earth has not been judged with truth. So what did we say last week about Yahshua, that he had some contemporaries, didn't he? The first contemporary was who during his time? Well, he had to deal with the leadership, the Pharisees, Sadducees. Okay, so that was somebody he had to deal with. Who's someone else he had to deal with?
The sinners.
Okay, Caesar. That was the 3rd one. What was the 2nd one? We talked about this during the Tabernacles. Oh, Son of the Most High, what are you doing here?
The David.
So the fallen. So he had to deal with the religious, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. Check. Then the fallen, the demonic, the however you want to classify them. Check. And then those things that are of Caesar, give unto him. The things that is for Yah, give to him. So during his time, Rome had not hijacked this book. During his time, I'll say it again, Rome had not hijacked the book. It was later when they hijacked the book. We know that. That's fact, right? Verse 41, for the earth hast thou not judged with truth. And where do we get truth at?
Out of the word.
We sitting here having to go into a book that someone took out of the rest of the books. I'll say it again. We got to go to a book that someone took out of the rest of the books. So here, take this. So the lion rode up on this beast and said, yo, you know what? You've been in control for a long time, bro. And the earth has not been judged in truth. And this is from my father. I got a problem with you. For the earth has now not judged with truth, for thou hast afflicted the meek. Thou hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. Therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up to the highest.
Come before me.
The iniquity in the cup, it went up to somebody.
Yes, it did.
It was so full. Thy wrongful dealing come up to the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The highest also has looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended. And his abominations are fulfilled, and therefore appear no more thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor that vain body, useless body, that all the earth may be refreshed, and may return, being delivered from thy violence, that she may hope for judgment and mercy of him that made her.
Yeah.
All right, don't forget Rome. Okay, so also Rome. Okay, got a couple more. So this is why it's going to be hard to try to single out one spot, because we have to keep in mind this is a system, like a big spider web, and it's different than all the others before it. That you pull out your money. You pull out your money. We're going to keep it real. That's where you understand. Make it simple. When we talk about the scriptures and talk about, we got to keep things where it's how does it affect me in 2018? Look at your money. Pull out your debit card. Got a chip on there. Venmo, Cash App, real quick. Money exchange, real quick. So Eli Manning and Saquon Barkley and professional football players doing commercials, they take their cards, whoop, walk on by. Whoop, walk on by. You can get stuff out of snack machine. Whoop, you ain't got to stick it in no more. You ain't got to insert it, but just do whoop. So this beast is so unique, it's so oppressive, it's so big, it's so all over, and that everybody's under this system. So y'all says, hey, you got to come out of her. He done said it multiple times throughout time. So Ezra 12. And it came to pass when the lion spake these words to the eagle, I saw, and behold, the head that remaineth and the four wings appeared no more, and the two went unto it and set themselves up to reign, and their kingdom was small and full of uproar. And I saw, and behold, they appeared no more, and the whole body of the eagle was burnt. So that the earth was in great fear.
Wow. Okay.
Then awaked I out of the trouble and trance of my mind. He snapped out of it. And from great fear, and said to my spirit, lo, this has done unto me, and that thou searchest out the ways of the highest. Lo, yet I am weary in my mind. I'm very weak in my spirit, and little strength is there in me for great fear. So what he saw shook the mess out of him. He's like, man, I'm weak in my body. I'm weak in my mind. I'm weak in my spirit. For great fear wherewith I was affrighted this night. Therefore will I now beseech the highest, that he will comfort me to the end. And I said, Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found grace before thy sight, if I am justified with thee before many others, and if my prayer indeed shall come up before thy face. Comfort me then, and show me thy servant the interpretation and plain difference of this fearful vision, that thou may perfectly comfort my soul. For thou hast judged me worthy, and hast shown me the last times. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea, the eagle that you saw come up from the sea, is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. The eagle whom thou sawest come up from the sea, the eagle whom thou saw come up from the sea. John said in Revelation, he saw a beast come up from the sea. Is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I declare it unto thee. Behold, the days will come, there shall rise up a kingdom upon the earth that shall be feared above all the kingdoms that were before it. In the same shall 12 kings reign. So the feathers are just like the horns, to represent kings or kingdoms. 12 kings shall reign one after another. Wherefore the second shall begin to reign, and shall have more time than other of the 12. And this do the 12 wings signify, which thou sawest, as for the voice which thou heardest speak, and as sawest not to go out from the heads, but from the midst of the body thereof. This is the interpretation, that after the time that the kingdom there shall arise great strivings, it shall stand in peril of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not fall, but shall be restored again to its beginning. Right? So the voices from within were civil distress on the inside of that kingdom. And whereas thou sawest the 8 small under feathers sticking to his wing, this is the interpretation, that there in him shall arise 8 kings, whose time shall be but small, and the years swift. And 2 of them shall perish, the middle time approaching. 4 shall be kept until their end begin to approach, but 2 shall be kept until the end. Whereas thou sawest 3 heads resting, this is the interpretation. In the last days, the Most High shall raise up 3 kingdoms, and renew many things therein. They shall have dominion over the earth, and of those that dwell therein with much oppression, above all those that were before them. Therefore are they called the heads of the eagle. For these are they that shall accomplish his wickedness, and that shall finish his last end. So the 3 heads represent 3 different kingdoms that will be very significant in the end times, that will do exactly what Yah wants done. And whereas thou sawest the great head appear no more, signified that one of them shall die upon his bed, and yet with pain. For the 2 other that remain shall be slain in the sword, for the sword of the one shall devour the other, but the last shall fall. The last shall fall through the sword himself. And whereas thou sawest 2 feathers under the wings pass over the head, that is on the right side. It signified that these are they whom the highest have kept unto the end. Now, have we ever heard the phrase about until the fullness of times of the Gentiles?
Yes.
Okay. 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 This is the small kingdom and full of trouble that thou sawest. And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood, and roaring and speaking to the eagle, and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard. This is the anointed. This is the anointed, which the highest hath kept for them, and for their wickedness until the end. So what does anointed means in Hebrew? Say it again. Mashiach. So when we read in the New Testament, and they say something, do see somebody say, well, I know Messiah is coming. They knew. This is the anointing. This is the Mashiach. So they're looking at the Mashiach. That's why they're saying, hey, go back to Acts. They're like, hey, are you going to restore the kingdom now? You going to get rid of the Romans? They sure are oppressive. Like, it's not the time for you to know. Neither is that is not of you. But stay here in Jerusalem. Don't leave now. To the promise of my Father come to pass. And he shall reprove them, and shall upbraid them with their cruelty, for he shall set them before him alive in judgment, and shall rebuke them and correct them. This is what the anointing is going to do. For the rest of my people shall he deliver with mercy. So Mashiach will deliver the people. Those that have been preserved upon my borders, he shall make them joyful until the coming of the day of judgment, whereof I have spoken unto thee from the beginning. This is the dream that thou hast sawest. These are the interpretations that only thou only has been met to know this secret of the highest, Therefore, write all these things down, sit in a book and hide them. Did he tell somebody to seal up the book? That's what he told Daniel. But he got the other part. Oh, no, okay. And you know what he told Ezra to do? Teach them to the wise people. You won't believe what Ezra was described as. He was ready in that law. Nehemiah, he was a ready scribe. He would read the word, and they'd stand up from morning to noon. He'd read the word, they stay on their feet. We got coffee, we got chairs, we got air conditioning, we got snacks, we got breaks, time limits. He read from morning to noon, stood up with attention.
He calling it out, right? Okay.
Amen. Okay.
We love you, Jeremy.
Amen.
And teach them the wise of the people whose hearts. Now, but see, when stuff is taken away, this ain't nothing to say. There's no oppression yet.
Right.
We're a bunch of Garfields. Big old fat lazy cats.
Yeah.
And teach them to the wise of the people whose heart thou knowest may comprehend, and keep these secrets. If you go back, read, this man is in the field, is out in the field. People is like, hey man, where you been for 7 days? In the field, fasting, eating berries and nuts and grass. Thou knowest may comprehend and keep these secrets, but wait thou here thyself yet 7 days more, and it shall be shown unto thee whatsoever it pleaseth the highest to declare unto thee. And that with that he went his way. And it came to pass, when people saw that the 7 days were past, and I had not come again to the city, they gathered them all together, from the least to the greatest, and came unto me and said, what have we offended thee? What evil have we done against thee, that thou forsakest us and sittest here in this place? For all the prophets thou only art left. So they knew him as a what? They just told us what we got. He was just ready in the law. But they deemed him as a prophet. So these things that he getting, he telling them.
Yes.
But you know what he said in Numbers? He said, I come to my prophets in what? Dreams and visions.
Come on.
Deep in the night.
Come on.
You so sleep, you about dead. That's when I come and I talk to you. What if, verse 42, for all the prophets thou only left in the cluster of the vintage as a candle in a dark place, and as a haven or ship preserved from the tempest. Are not the evils which are come to us sufficient? If thou shalt forsake us, how much better had it been for us if we had been burnt in the midst of Zion? For we are not better than they that died there. And they wept with a loud voice. Then answered I them and said, be of good comfort, O Israel, and be not heavy, thou house of Jacob. For the highest hath you in remembrance, and the mighty have not forgotten you in temptation. As for me, I have not forsaken you, neither am I departed from you, but am coming to this place to pray for the desolation of Zion, and that I might seek mercy for the low estate, for your sanctuary. And now go your way home, every man, and after these days I will come unto you. So the people went their way into the city, like as I commanded them, but I remained still in the field 7 days, as the angel commanded me, and did only eat in those days the flowers of the field, and had my meat of the herbs. So the saints must persevere throughout the earth. Okay, we got to persevere throughout the earth. So whether it's in Assyria, Babylon, we have examples in the book of Tobit when they were in Assyria. We have obviously Daniel with Shadrach, Meshach, one bad Negro. We have that. We have those examples. Okay, then we have Judith, which is also right, but she had to be righteous, right? So y'all, I don't care where you at. Okay, the saints, if you want to be a saint, be righteous. Okay, persevere. Revelation 13. Revelation 13. 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and faith of the saints. Every time the powers of Syria and Babylon and Persia, every time a nation would rise or fall, right, the people are in the midst of them still. Okay? So it doesn't matter to him. Right? He's like, look, if you take care of your business, I got you. But if you slipping, you tripping out there, or you acting like a bear, and I set a bear trap, You acting like a bobcat, and I set a bobcat trap. And you going down too. Psalm 75. Okay. So that was pretty plain in Revelation 13. Okay, about those that killed the sword, you're gonna get killed with the sword. Right. You lead people into captivity, you gotta go into captivity. Right. Psalm 75 and 7. But Yah is the judge, he putteth down one and set up another. Okay? For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red, it is full of mixture, and he poured out the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. Psalm 76 and 8. Thou didst cause judgment to be heard from heaven, the earth feared and was still. When God arose to judgment to save all the meek of the earth, what did the lion say to the eagle? That you have suppressed the what? The meek. So I have to understand that the first beast in Revelation, right, supports the horse with the whore rides. But then Yah puts in this beast to hate the whore, to kill her, to burn her. Yah's plan. Okay? Now, Matthew 7. So this system is going, the Babylonian system will self-destruct. The Babylonian system is right now, is being used like a working girl by a pimp. It's real simple. Right? And then when she can't work no more, pimp ain't got nothing to do with it. I mean, that's as blunt as I can, just blunt as you can make it. You can't work? I ain't got no use for you. So at some point, this Babylonian system will be destroyed by what is riding. The 7 heads and 10 horns. So these nations are going to turn against this Babylonian system. Now Matthew 7 and 12. Therefore all things whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. This is the law and the prophets. 7 and 12. So this is the law and the prophets. That whatever you do, right? If you want something good done, you need to do good to others. That's why we had to read Revelation 13. He that leadeth into captivity, you're going into captivity. He that killed the sword, you're going to get hit with the sword. This is the law and the prophets. Now let's go back to Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51 was in 50 last time. It's now we're in 51. We're going to pick back up in verse 8 because we read 1 through 7 earlier. We're in verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one to his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up into the skies. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Make bright the arrows. Make bright the arrows. Make bright the arrows. Gather the shields. And the Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up a standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he has spoken against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures. Thine end is come, the measure of thy covetousness. So we have Jeremiah 51, 8 through 13. Okay? And once again, in these chapters of 50 and 51, some of this is directed clearly to the Chaldeans, where they are. But then there's another Babylon. So the prophet's speaking, and he's going off in the spirit, and he says something, and I'm talking to you, but then again I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, but then I'm talking to you. Let's pick up and read. We're going to skip down and go to verse 17. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. Okay? They are vanity, the work of errors. In their time of their visitation they shall perish. Okay? One thing about Revelation is that there is an image of the beast. Right? The second beast that came from the land. The first one came from the, second one came from the, and the second beast is who gets all the people to worship the image of the first beast. The image of the first. Whether that's R2B2 or some kind of robot that's singing and dancing or whatever it is. But the second beast had horns. It had horns like a what? Like a lamb. But it spoke as a dragon. The second beast had horns like a lamb, spoke as a dragon, and caused all the people, rich and poor, to worship the image of the beast. Verse 18, they are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. With thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee I will break in pieces the horse and his rider. And with thee I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider. Horse and rider. Have we seen that before?
Cast into the sea. Yeah.
Which was that?
Horse and the rider has been cast into the sea when they came out of.
So Exodus 15:1. Exodus 15:1. Why do we keep seeing these? Exodus 15:1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. And we're in all the way in Jeremiah 51, and we're talking about the destruction of the horse and the rider. So do we see this in Revelation? Revelation 6. Let's turn to it quickly. Revelation 6. Revelation 6. Revelation 6 and 1. And it reads, And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard it was as the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts, saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering to conquer. Jeremiah 51. He said, the horse and the rider. And there was a horse and a rider in Exodus 15. Now there's a horse and a rider in Jeremiah 51. And now we got a horse and a rider who went forth conquering and got the permission to go and conquer in Revelation 6 and 1 and 2. Let's go back to Jeremiah. Let's let that settle in. I know it's a lot of stuff. We done read so much of Ezra's. You like, they ain't probably ain't seen that before. That's all right. Just let some of it soak in. Go back to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51, let's pick up in 25. Jeremiah 51, 25. The Lord hath opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation, for this is the work of the Lord God of the hosts in the land of Chaldeans. So we know it's specifically talking about the land of
Is it
Chaldeans.
51 or 50?
I'm sorry.
24.
My bad. Thank you.
24.
Thank you. 51 and 25. 51, my bad.
No, you're 24, aren't you?
51 and 25.
Yeah, 51, 25.
Okay. Okay.
Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyeth all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and will roll thee down from the rocks, will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations. Will we be able to hear it? Will you be able to hear it? Prepare the nations against her. Call together against the kingdoms of Arad, Mene, and Ashkenaz.
Yeah. How about
And
that?
appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nation with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. I think we talked about it, that when the Assyrians fell, that it was the Babylonians and the Medes. Remember what Tobias told Tobit his son, flee into Media, where the Medes are. Flee there. You'll be safe there. So I'm just going to bring that back to your mind. Verse 29. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. Okay. In verse 27, we see who? Ashkenaz. Got a book here. I try to keep this group as informed as I possibly can with information. We need our scriptures. We need our extra biblical sources in our apocrypha. And then when we have things from like the Ethiopian community, they're going to describe something. Some of this I'll share with some of y'all. But I'm going to read. This is the Banlet of Righteousness. And this is from the Ethiopian community. And they are talking about somebody. And if you want to know, the Ethiopians are some of the best record keepers. This is why we see the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts going to Jerusalem to worship. When we know in Acts what was the big problem? Too many Gentiles. Don't want to be mingling. Well, then why the Ethiopian getting going? Why the Ethiopian got scripture? Why does he got his own scroll? It ain't like today. We all got scripture. Back then, everybody didn't have scripture. So how does he have scripture? He's like, man, I'm going to Jerusalem to worship. I'm trying to understand this Isaiah 51 though. So, let me read this to you. The next paragraph mentions Gog and Magog and speaks of the coming of the son of Satan, i.e. Antichrist. Gog and Magog, according to the Methodist bishop of Parta in the 4th century, and their kindred peoples were descendants of Japheth and lived on the confines of the east. Their appearance was hideous. They were more wicked and unclean than any other dwellers in the world. They were ignorant as beasts. They knew not God. They lacked the power of reason. They also ate mice, snakes, scorpions, and every kind of reptile. They did not bury the bodies of their dead, but ate them. Cannibalism. Alexander the Great, seeing their wickedness, prayed to God and then built a gate of brass at the entrance of a defile, which was formed by the two mountains which God had made to approach within 12 cubits of each other, and so shut in these filthy peoples. The words which Alexander used against them are quoted in a parchment amulet described by a word. Now, I cannot pronounce that. I'm not going to try. It's on page 78, what I cannot pronounce. The names of the people who were imprisoned with this northern gate are preserved by Solomon, bishop of Al-Basara, in his book of the Bee, and are as follows: Gog, Magog, Nawal, Ashkenaz, Denethor, Pakate, Wolate, Humnaye, Huns, Parazay, Daklaye, Tabulaye, Darmartaye, Kawabe, Dogmen, Ermathada, Garmedio, Cannibals, Thyricians, Alani, Pislon, Decanye, and Sarte. At the end of the world, when all peoples are at peace, these nations shall force their way through the gates of brass and lay waste to the earth. It's got some more, but I'm going to stop there. So, when we look at Ashkenaz, sometimes it's got called spade a spade.
Well done. All right.
It's got called spade a spade. But when we look at the majority of teaching, the majority of who's who, we don't look at them as Ashkenaz. Now, what we have in prophecy, when we're talking about these beasts and Esdras and Daniel and Revelation, one thing we know for sure in Revelation, that the kings and the merchants are wrapped up in this. And if you really want to know, you got just ask, who controls central bank? Who controls money? It's a great book called The Creature of Jekyll's Island about the Federal Reserve. I suggest you would read it. Whose idea? Now, I ain't put it up here today, but like I said, JFK said, I'm exposed all this secret society's mess. They put some hot in them 7 days later. What was it? Woodrow Wilson or Eisenhower. He was like, look, can't let these bankers in here. Turn this place upside down. And the great whore of Babylon loves the merchants. The merchants love this great whore. So back in 51, almost done, 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might have failed. They have become as women. They have burned their dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken in. So this is referring to when Babylon was coming down. Okay, the land of Chaldean. But in verse 33 it says, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon, like a threshing floor. Daughter. Didn't we read in Revelation that Babylon was the great whore, mother of
Many
harlots? Many. So see how quick a transition? He's sitting there talking about, yeah. He's sitting there prophesying, yeah. They're going to be running from post to post. So they go tell the king, hey, they're here. It's going to be too late. Then all of a sudden, yeah, the daughter of Babylon, many harlots. Like, huh?
Yes.
Just boom, 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 boom. Verse 35 and 37. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons. For dragons. We see that? For dragons. 2nd Ezra 15 and 29. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia. Jeremiah 51:37. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons. 2nd Ezra 15:29, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Wonder why he would describe Arabia as a place of dragons. Then we have in Jeremiah 51:37, Babylon becoming a dwelling place for dragons. There is a great dragon that gives power to the beast, which the whore rides on. But the heads and the horns are nations, kings, governments, and they turn on the whore. Whew. Make your head hurt. But verse 45, my people, go ye out of the midst of her, deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. So we want to turn back to Genesis 11. Go through all that to bring us full circle, that this whore, this system must be destroyed so that someone can sit on the throne like Nimrod, the mighty hunter. And there's only one reason. Genesis 11, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. One language. One speech. You're going to scroll down to verse 6. And Yah said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this that begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them that they have imagined to do. So we've talked about it. We've got to keep talking about it. But in the other lessons, we've talked about the death. We've talked about the pharmakia. Last time, the sorcery, right? The drug aspect of it. Right, I was at work and I had to give somebody. I picked up a little side gig, and there was a person that was coming out of a rehab place. I had to take him somewhere because he hadn't been to the doctor. He's been in rehab, and he was talking about just prescription drugs and just talking about just the drug game, and not just him, now his wife. So that the pharmakia is a aspect of this sorcery of Babylon. And y'all like, I'm going to destroy all of it
How about the?
with great fire. So all of the people that are in these places of Babylon, you got to come out. Now, we have, I think I got it on here. There are 3 city-states in the world. One is the Vatican. Okay, a city-state is a district or area that is completely, has nothing to do with the state or nation that it's in. It is its own entity. There's one.
DC.
Well, that's the Vatican right there.
That's the Vatican.
That's the Vatican. Washington, D.C. and Paris. So, religion, military, all about the dollar bill, y'all. Now, we talked about the number 666 last time. We talked about the title of the Pope, right? The vicarious lay deli, or whatever. Lede, thank you. I said deli like a deli sandwich. Now, don't want to get too deep, but that a cube is how many sides? 6. And you won't believe what's at Mecca. A cube. That has what? 6 sides. And everybody come all over the world to bow at this cube. You won't believe this in Judaism. You won't believe this. What's a hexagram? How many sides it got? 6. Now, if you take your star of David and you draw the triangle here and the triangle there, what's in the middle? Hexagram. With 6 little triangles around it. So the depth of Babylon is deep. It's a beast that the righteous men, smart men, we're not smart like them. Them brothers are smart and deep. Super clean. Strict in the law. Strong in the spirit. They're like, man, I don't even get to the last one. And you won't believe what we live in the time of the last one. He see that statue, like, man, it's like iron and clay mixed up. So I talked about the Iron Age last time. The most potent thing to come from the Iron Age is the gun. But he said, but Yah said, I'm going to make that table a snare. It was supposed to be for their good. So as we close this, we're not going to try to pinpoint, say, this is Babylon. But we do understand it is a major global system. I think a couple of weeks ago, we played with the Jack Ma, right? Really rich dude, smart dude. He said, we're headed towards globalization. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Every time you go to Walmart and you go buy something, you go self-check because it's quicker. It's more convenient. You won't believe what they're doing. They're taking your picture. And that's Walmart is global. That would mean any and every Walmart all over the world. So with this, but with that being said, Yah is good. And Yah's like, look, I'm going to help them get their cup. I'm going to help them do what they got to do. Y'all just be righteous. You follow my law. Walk by the Spirit. Love your neighbor. Don't steal. Don't lie. Don't cheat. Help somebody. Be patient with your people. Sacrifice your time. Don't get angry so quick. Love on. Get somebody a hug. Open the door for people. Ask them if they need help. You need something to eat. That's what he wants you to do. Because all this other stuff, ain't nothing you can do about it. It's a freight train that's running. You ain't going to stop it. So the Yahs want us to be like our ancestors. When they was in different places, different times and eras of captivity, they were sown and they bore fruit in harsh conditions. You won't believe this. You have to bear some fruit in some harsh conditions. Right now it's sunny outside. Right now it's right. Ain't nobody coming at you right now. Ain't no threats on it. And you ain't got to go hide to keep Shabbat right now. But when that day comes, when they say, where are those that serve Yah? Where they at? Where's the one that work here that you said always eat off on Shabbat? Where is he at? Where are the ones that got businesses that ain't open on certain days? Where is he at? So when that time comes, now you're going to have you living off what you've been practicing. It's a phrase, practice what you preach. Are you trained? Are your fundamentals right? Do you understand how you're supposed to live? Are you strong in the spirit? Are you soft as a